I've been thinking about this invasive word, the big bad I word, invasive. So many people throw it around. We're seeing a lot of people saying, oh, don't plant that plant, don't grow that plant because it invades, it'll take over, and it's recommended not to grow it. Right here. Prime example of what people are saying is invasive, don't grow it, don't plant it. Now, the beauty of the red Napier grass is that it grows extremely fast. It's upright. The roots do not spread. They don't travel underground and pop up in other places. The only way to propagate this that I've seen, it propagates easy from cuttings. But I think when you're talking about invasive, you have to talk about what climate you're in. And to say that something like red Napier grass, this is last year's growth right here. That's what happens to red Napier grass in Central Florida in the wintertime. It's dead. The canes cannot survive our climate. They just can't deal with the freeze. So how can something be invasive when it can't thrive in the climate? Maybe it's invasive in South Florida. Tithonia is another perfect example. It doesn't go anywhere. I'm going to walk over there. It's the Mexican sunflower, Tithonia diversifolia. These are some of the most useful plants that I have on the farm. Some of the things that have changed my whole growing game and made things possible. This right here, yeah, it's a big old fat head of Tithonia. But it's the same exact head that's been here for like 6 years. It hasn't moved. It hasn't gone anywhere. It hasn't gotten any bigger. I'm going to show you what happens when it flops over. Look at that. It fell over, right? This big hunk of Tithonia. This is all dead up here. You notice that happens from the cold, because the cold destroys this every single season. And if I want to remove this, look how easy it is to do. I'm using one hand. That's it. Up, out of the ground. We're done. It's not there. There's no roots left. This tree, this is gone. It's pulled out. I can do whatever I want with that now. I can move it, I can replant it, or I could just destroy it and throw it away. It's not hard to get rid of it. Why would that be recommended as a do not grow? Is it because it's too useful? Is it because it's animal feed? Is it because it's fertilizer and it doesn't cost anything? Maybe, is that why? I don't know. I don't understand, but I can guarantee you that this stuff does not walk. This is sitting right here is one piece that I put in the ground last year, and I use it to protect this plant, this lemon zest mango in my zone that also does not thrive, cannot thrive in this zone without protection. It just won't do it. The cold is too much. So we have to go to extreme lengths to keep these plants alive. So I totally understand how red Napier grass could be invasive in South Florida, where it doesn't freeze to the ground and the canes don't freeze, and they could get very tall and they could lean over and they could touch the ground and root, and it could slowly walk its way across the ground. I mean, completely unattended, I could see that happening if you just planted it and never looked at it again. But what's the purpose of doing that? This is the useful plant. Our animals absolutely love this. This is a high nutrient green. For chop and drop, just the nutrient quality of it for chop is amazing. Here's some of it right here. Dead as a doornail. That's all of my last year's growth. I just don't understand this whole invasive thing. I recently saw Sapodilla is on the invasive list. I've killed so many of those things out here. It has to be in a greenhouse to thrive up here, or in a really unique microclimate where it won't die. Like, here's the other one. The exact same thing happened to this last year. It got cold, froze, dead. Red Napier grass is not an invasive in Central Florida. It's not, it can't be. It just won't survive here. So let's think twice about this whole recommended by whoever telling us that it's going to invade and recommended not to plant. It's just crippling your gardening ability. I mean, look at the reality of stuff. You want to talk about something that has invasive tendencies, let's look at a root system that you can't get rid of. That roots, every couple of inches there's another node, and it's just continually growing. It's like that. Oh, it's a Florida native, so it's okay, right? How about elderberry? Elderberry will take over your life, and you can't get rid of it. It's in there forever. It grows just like torpedo grass. Nothing wants to eat it. I had the pigs in here. They won't touch the elderberry because it's nothing you want to mess with. I'm gonna show you. My pigs have been in here. They'll eat torpedo grass. They've been tearing it up. This is all elderberry right here. So if we pull it, see that little white thing right there? Yeah, that's a little root that shoots out God knows where. The stuff is everywhere. Everywhere. Every little piece of it. Re-roots, regrows. I mean, I have been trying to get this out of here forever. I'll never get it out. So I'm just gonna resign to the fact that I have elderberry as a chop and drop. But that's a Florida native, so it's okay. I don't understand that line of thinking. If I want to use my ground, I want to use my ground, and that stuff seems to keep choking stuff out. So that area has been dedicated to elderberry outside of my choice. I didn't really mean to do that. I had no idea it would grow that way. You think elderberry, you think, oh, it's a good thing. I'm not impressed. And the birds eat all the berries anyway, so I don't get anything out of it. And then here's another one they call invasive. But it's not invasive because it's a native. But this is Florida betony. This stuff, to me, is gold because it produces food and lots of it. Yet this is also recommended to get rid of it because it's invasive. But is it invasive? Can it be invasive if it's native? What's native? When is it native since? Most of it's talking about like since the 20s. So really it's, you know, not even like talking that long. I think at some point it gets to where it's naturalized. Not native or invasive. It's just, this is how the climate is, and this plant found its ideal growing conditions. And it's useful. I mean, Florida betony, these things are amazing. I eat them almost every day. But that stuff you never get out. There's a giant field of that back there. So, and the whole point of this is, don't believe everything you read. Especially when people are talking about invasives and things that you don't want to be around. Biden's Alba. You want to talk about something that takes over the land. Biden's Alba. I didn't plant any of this. This is horribly invasive, if that's the word we're going to use. But instead, I'm using it as chop and drop. I'm using it as nutrients. I'm using it as just living mulch. So I'm not really too upset about any of these plants. I like them all. I mean, my forest is beautiful. I got Everglades tomatoes pouring out of the ground here and going crazy. So this is what I want it to look like. But I really, really, really encourage everyone to think about what the big bad I word means, and can it survive in your zone? Because there's a bunch of stuff that just 2 hours from here, 2 hours south of here, you go to Sebastian Inlet, they don't freeze. So putting something in there that has that invasive tendency, you keep your eye on it. You know, if you're using it creatively, then no reason to not plant it. I noticed Peace River Organics is selling red Napier grass cuttings. And they specifically say, if you're not going to manage this species, don't plant it, because it's a useful thing, and it has, you know, should be used. To have something and then not use it at all and just let it go crazy seems like a waste of time. Why'd you even buy it? So I mean, that's this good advice, regardless of whether it's invasive or not. If you're not going to manage it, what's the point? But I happen to love the Napier grass. I think it's beautiful, and every one of our animals loves eating it. I wouldn't have thought so because it's got real thick texture and stuff, but boy, do they like it. And it's going to provide me with so much chop and drop. It's unreal. Some of the rows that Jay Reynolds has down at Pine Island are gorgeous. The things he's done with that Pinecrest property are so cool. I was there last summer, and just the rows of Napier grass, so thick and full and gorgeous, and the amount of chop and drop that he got to enrich that land is just killer. So, invasive. Or is it?